This video was created by human, translated and dubbed by machine.
Hi, this video is for those who are lost creatively, and most likely you are looking for some courses, trainings, seminars, maybe an academic education to pump up your level or to find a new profession, to find yourself. I'll tell you why this is all bullshit, and what you really need to do in order to become a professional, in order to make money with it, or just to have fun with it. Let's first break down why it's all bullshit. Whoa. We need to take a little pause here, and I want to tell you that I have nothing against academic education. Well, not even against courses on the internet. The only thing is that you have to be careful, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you what other ways there are to pump up your level, or find a new profession, or get out of a creative stupor. We're going to talk about photography, for example, but you can put absolutely any topic here. It could be music, it could be any creative profession, let's say business. Yeah, anything. Well, let's start with academic education. The whole problem here is that all kinds of grandmas and grandpas will tell you that every frame is sacred, and you have to think a million times before you take it. And you better start on film, because there are 36 frames in a reel. Every frame has to be special. It's got to tell a story, it's got to have a meaning, a message, a high point, and other shit like that. Of course, they teach you how to work with the composition of the frame. You'll understand all the basic laws and concepts. You'll know how to set the light well, and that's very cool. But that's overriding the fact that the shot is sacred and you're a piece of shit, because you have to think 1,000,000 times before you take that shot. Because you can't just take the camera out and press the shutter because you like it, because you feel like it, because you just like the lighting here, because you like the composition, because it's an unusual composition, because the color combination is interesting, and so on. You will, for example, take a shot and then look at it and think, man, it's not good enough. There's something wrong here. This is not the way I was taught.
They're crap, mega crap.
And all this will lead to the fact that you'll take less and less pictures. You'll get to the point where you take a couple of pictures a month and you'll start cursing yourself. Come on, you spent money on equipment, you spent the time to go through this education, but unfortunately, it's not worth it because you take very few pictures and it doesn't bring you any profit. And most importantly, it doesn't bring you any pleasure. Welcome to depression, because depression in most cases, in my understanding, in the creative sense, is when there is no outlet for this very creativity. That's it. You're trapped. Bottom line on academic education. First of all, you get a great base, and that's a fat plus. That is, you'll be cool at exposing lighting and working with composition. And most importantly, you'll be technically savvy in all aspects of the camera. The second point is a negative. You might get a huge insecurity and a stale creative side. I'm not saying it will be like that because I'm not a prophet, and every case is different. And a lot depends on your character, life experience, and mindset. You also have to take all that into account and just keep it in mind. I went to university to study film and television directing. I left after 1 year. I am absolutely not ashamed of it. I don't regret it or hide it. Not only that, I think it was one of the best decisions of my life. On the plus side, there was an amazing acting teacher. That's probably why I lasted there for a year and didn't quit after a month or two. Everything else is just grandfathers, grandmothers. And that's when this thing with cameras came up. Everybody was just starting to shoot with 5D Mark II. That included me. They said, "That's a photography camera. How could you shoot video with a photo camera? That's ridiculous. It can't be. It's not right. It's something bad." Consequently, they didn't understand any innovations in either editing or shooting. That is, they were very old school guys. The very first question I asked when I came to the university was, "What did you shoot?" And when the answer was, "I directed one TV series that never made it to the screens." For me, I could basically pack my bags and leave this university because, well, I mean, you make a video but there's nothing to show, and you're teaching somebody at the same time. Questions. Well, let's say you find some Consuela on Instagram who takes pictures on her phone. She offers you a course there for, I don't know, $500 or $1,000, depending on how much Consuela has invested in advertising and promoting herself. The problem is that this Consuela is set up exactly to sell you a course. In most cases, she is not a professional. That is, she is not a person who has been in the industry for 10 years, 20 years in the industry, much less 30 years in the industry. I mean, she's literally been taking pictures for maybe the last year.
Hey, buddy, you're a good bedfellow, but what do you think you are? Maybe you've got some merit. 10, 20 years? And yourself?
Okay, let's get acquainted. I've been making videos since I was 15, and at the same age, I started making my first short films, which I edited on a VHS tape recorder. Yes, by the way, I'm 54. My name is Volodymyr Proskorovsky, and more than 10 years I am engaged in motion design, and about the same time I sell video templates on VideoHive. This is the largest marketplace for selling video templates. In short, without unnecessary modesty, I'm cool to shoot, cool to edit, and pretty good at color grading. I can act, I can direct. Oh yeah, why am I lying down? The thing is, we're in a cemetery right now, and I think that's how it's done here. By the way, there's an organ playing. Really, there's an organ playing. Yes, maybe she has some pretty good pictures. More likely these pictures are, let's say, niche pictures. I mean, she might be good at photographing food, or she might be good at photographing people. She might even teach you how to take good food pictures on your iPhone. The only problem is that if you want to take a step to the right, a step to the left, there will just be a stupor and just a pit. They'll explain to you that, do it like this, and it'll be beautiful. But how does it work? Why does it work this way? Why do you have to put the light like this? You will not get an explanation, because there won't be time for that. Because it takes years. Years of training, years of learning your own profession, years of mistakes to understand it, and no one is going to teach you for $500 or $1,000 to practice with you for years. So it will be a 2-week training and that's it. All these courses on social networks give you only a false confidence and absolute zero in knowledge. If this interests you, welcome to my free masterclass on how to wash your hands and not wipe them with a towel. So, even though I'm all that, please don't look at all these girls, and boys too, who tell you that I'll teach you and you'll pay me there and so on. In spite of all that, I've come across a couple of cases like that. And the interesting thing is, it didn't seem to me that way this time. There was a time I wanted to learn color grading in DaVinci. One dude showed up and said, "Friends, I've color graded 300 movies, I've color graded 500 music videos. I, in general, will show you now." And the funny thing was that he was actively promoting it all through social networks. I paid for this education. It wasn't cheap, by the way. At the time, it was almost $1,000. At first I thought, wow, cool. I was just closing my gaps that I had. I mean, I was like, yeah, this is done like this. And it's done like this. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. And I was anticipating what was going to happen next. But nothing happens next. Because there is nothing. Because the man has actually reached a certain level. He has not become super professional. You look at what films he's graded there, and these are films that nobody's heard of, and so on. And you realize that, in principle, they went to him because they probably wanted to save money on color grading, and it turns out they just didn't have the budget. So they asked him for Cheeseburger to color grade it all. The dude stuffed up his portfolio and ended up selling it later to 3,000 people for $1,000. Something like that. Like, a business model is probably good, as an education model disgusting. So even though the man looked straight up very convincing and really had some experience under his belt, he was able to give a donut hole of knowledge in the end. So it should have just been a YouTube video tutorial. In fact, what should we do? And what we should do is the following. There are only really 2 ways that you can combine them. That's actually ideally to combine them. The first way is to find a mentor. Only to find a real mentor, not Consuela from Instagram, and a person who has been in the industry for 10, 20 years, who is a professional. That person probably doesn't have a cool Instagram page because, I'll give you an example on cool DPs. So guys who are really cool DPs who make movies, who make really cool videos, you can go to their Instagram and find that they have 2,000 followers, 3,000 followers, 5 at the most. They don't do 20 posts a day and stuff like that. They don't have any of that stuff at all. I mean, they've shot some project, and they've had someone send them a couple of pictures, where they are in the work or whatever. They uploaded them there just for fun. But if a person has a lot of Instagram, if he's making 20 posts a day, He's not engaged in his profession, he's engaged in what he's doing by posting these posts. Now back to the mentor. You have found someone who inspires you. You like his style, you like his approach to his work, you'd like to learn those skills from him. Your next task is to write him a personal message, and most likely, such a person will not respond immediately, but he will answer because he is not clogged up with all kinds of trash and dick pics. And your task is to convince him that you are on fire with it, that you want it, and you are willing to spend all your time on it, and you are willing to spend your own money on it. But your own money, not to pay him to teach you, but your own money, let's say, to implement your own projects. That is, you want to photograph something, and you need a light source for it, and you're ready to rent it or buy it or spend money on new equipment and so on. And that person, if he's going to coach you, not even train you, but coach you, he will do it for free, because he will see himself 10 or 20 years ago, he will see himself as a young dude, and he will just enjoy it. Again, he probably won't have the opportunity to chew you up piece by piece and put it in your mouth. The most valuable thing you can get is to be present, to be around, to learn. The most important thing is to absorb this information, just observing and making some conclusions, how he works, what he does, why he makes this particular decision and not another. It is very difficult to find such a person. It is not easy to come to an agreement with such a person either, to get into such an environment. So you have to be persistent, and you have to be ready for rejection, and you have to be ready for the fact that you will write to 10 people. At best, one will reply to you and at best agree to it, and invite you to be present at some shoots, some projects, and so on. Now let's be brief, and to the point. Point 1. You need to find 10 cool dudes, professionals in their field. Point 2. These dudes need to write a text about the following content. Hi, my name is Volodymyr Proskurovsky. I am a beginner photographer, and I want to be your assistant. I am ready to bring lighting, coffee, etc. For the sake of it, just to adopt your experience and learn something new. If that's something you're interested in, please answer. Oh yeah, one more thing. That's not good for everyone. That is, you have to be a persistent person. If you're an introvert, it will be either difficult or impossible for you. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about my experience. About the mentor. I've had several mentors in my life, and those experiences have been both good and not so good. In short, there's a lot to talk about. After I graduated high school, as a very young man, I thought it would be a good idea to see if it was really mine. Because at that age, it seems like if you go to law university for 5 years, that's it for the rest of your life and that's it. And that's the only direction your life is going to go. Of course, I realize now that this is utter nonsense. But I decided to give myself a kind of stress test. A test. Whether it's really mine, whether I really want it, and to feel out the industry before I actually go to university. The first thing I did was I just started going around knocking on the doors of all the TV stations. That is, I just came to the TV channel, said hello everyone, I'm Volodymyr Proskurovsky, I shoot video. There were no phones back then, I couldn't show my portfolio or anything like that. I would just say, I'm shooting a video, but usually I wouldn't go any further than the front door. I was waiting for people to come out for a smoke so I could start a conversation and talk about myself and get to know each other. And eventually on one of these occasions I succeeded. I met a girl who worked for a television channel. She told me that, buddy, I'd really like to help you, but I can't take you on any shoots anywhere else. But I know a woman who used to work in television. She might be interested in helping you somehow. So this woman really shook my skills. It was unbelievable. It started with her saying, so my friend, you take a camera, you go and shoot, and then you come back and we look at it and analyze it. I just shot what I liked. I looked for unusual angles. I come back, we look, she doesn't give an opinion. She just asks, why did you shoot that? And why did you take it from this angle? What did you want to say? What do you like about this shot? How would you like to improve it? How could this shot be improved? How can you make a story out of these frames? Is it possible to put together a story out of these frames? And that helped me a lot. Generally, self-analysis of my own work, self-analysis of how I want to develop further, what I want to do, what I want to shoot, how I want to shoot. That is, I started asking myself questions and looking for answers. And this helped me a lot. Every week there were events, dances, and she said, you take a camera, you go and shoot all the events. And I went every week and filmed that, and that also really pumped me up because I learned to anticipate. It's a kind of moment of this kind of television shooting, reporting, shooting, where you have to anticipate where the person is going to go next. what they're going to do next. It was a big camera with a zoom lens, and I had to figure out where to take a closer shot, where to zoom out, on the contrary, to show the entire dance team. It's directly a very positive experience that gave me faith in myself, gave me the opportunity to listen to myself, to answer the questions that you ask yourself. It's just an amazing skill. I also had an experience after university. My classmate, he worked with a director who was somewhat of an idol in my childhood. That is, I watched his films. They were like art house style. They were unusual, progressive, as I thought at the time. There was very interesting editing, very unusual camera angles, strange dialogues and things like that. We talked, I showed him my work, he liked it, it was cool. Just a while later, the filming of his new movie was starting. And I was present on the whole filming process, saw how he works, saw how the other departments work in general, how the lighting department work, how the cameraman works, how the director interacts with the cameraman, how he works with the actors, what's going on in general. And on the one hand, I picked up a lot of cool techniques, primarily technical, and how people communicate with each other on set. From the negative aspects, I realized that, let's say, the actors who are very so in the final material, they speak so mysteriously, it's just that they don't know the text, they're being prompted behind the scenes. By the way, I edited half of that movie, got a lot of experience with editing on a feature film too. Anyway, it was cool. What this experience taught me, besides the fact that I understood how things work, is that the person who is your idol, or someone who you think is a very cool dude, in reality may not be so, and you have to be ready for that. Here also, by the way, I want to say a very important point, that just experience before university, this kind of with a mentor, helped me decide to leave university because I understood how people can teach, how people can give some knowledge. The second way is the coolest. It's called self-education. Why is it cool? Let me explain. Imagine that you want, for example, to embroider a cross. You looked up some basics on the internet, because now on the internet, you can see the basics of any case absolutely. You buy some materials, start embroidering a cross, and you hit some kind of ceiling. You cannot find an answer to the question in your particular case, because you want, for example, a cross-stitch car or house. And there are instructions on the internet about how to embroider a bicycle or Consuela's pastry shop. And you try, and it turns out anything, square, circle, rhombus, but not a cross. And you suffer, because you can't find the answer, and you can't even formulate the right request in order to find it on the internet or ask somebody. But sooner or later, first of all, you will be able to formulate the question, and that will give you a +10 to search the internet, and maybe you will find the answer there. You'll be incredibly happy, believe me, and remember that forever. Second point, if you can't find it on the internet, you can ask someone, and let's say you won't get an answer right away, which means someone will tell you off, and someone won't care about you at all, and just won't answer. And someone will answer, you'll be very happy. You'll thank this person, you'll have some kind of connection, and so you'll get some new acquaintances in this sphere. Again, you will remember this response forever, and you will enjoy it even more. Let's say no one answered you simply because they don't know. Your question is specific, or they just don't want to share information with you. Because, well, it's like, if the question is specific and someone has found an answer to it, it's unlikely that someone will want to share it. So if you end up finding a way to do it yourself, the happiness will be such that words can't describe it. Imagine you really want to write, but no toilet. You're trying to frantically find a toilet because you're already dripping from your eyes and everything hurts inside. Good people, where is the toilet? But no one knows. Everyone says, buddy, glad to help, but I do not know. And at some point you find that toilet. Come on! Okay. And there's two things. First, you will remember this toilet forever. That is, if you then walk somewhere nearby, you will know that there is a toilet. That's first of all. Secondly, you'll get such pleasure as if you had no sense of smell, and now you have it. And you're just shocked by these new sensations. In short, if you take away this urine therapy, there is only one fact left. The less effort you put in, the worse you remember, the less experience you have. After 1-2 such occasions, it will turn into a real drug, because you will want to have this pleasure and seek answers time after time. But the interesting thing is, all your mistakes, they will turn first of all into your experience. Second, they will turn into your vision, your style, and your particular approach to your work. If you combine that with mentoring, it's a super cool combo. And then you will be a high-level specialist with your own vision, with your own style. And most importantly, you will understand how it all works. Because it's one thing if Consuela tells you how to set the light, but you will not understand it. That is, you won't understand why it's there. She'll tell you how to take a pie off, but how to shoot a car. You won't be able to do it because you'll have to work differently because the conditions are different. And when you yourself, let's say, buy a light, any light at all, it doesn't matter. You buy a construction light, take your grandmother as a model, put her on a chair, put the light on, take pictures. Shit came out. Now on the other side, shit. Now like this, shit. Now like this. Consequently, the question arises, what's wrong? Why does Granny look so bad? Why does she look like Baba Yaga? Well, first of all, maybe she really is Baba Yaga. Secondly, you can come up with an idea, or you can look it up or whatever, or you can come up with it yourself. You can put a diffuser, you can put a cloth or something, you put it in, you get soft lighting, and you think, oh, okay, that's cool. It works great. Then you think, that's all good, but I have a lot of light in the background. What can I do about it? And when you start experimenting, when you start trying, then you can not only learn the basics, but you can also find your own way, your own style, your own vision, an unusual picture. And that's what will set you apart from the rest of the crowd. I basically started shooting on my own, intuitively. There was practically nothing on the internet. The internet was this. So I just went around shooting what I saw, what I could. I tried and made up some plots and short films on my own. As soon as I got a computer, I really liked the movie Taxi 2. I just threw that movie into the editing program, and I just clicked frame by frame and watched it, and just analyzed why it was edited that way. I mean, why is this close-up mounted with this one? And why is this cool mounted here? Without realizing it, I basically came to all this by myself. Motion montage, lighting, and so on and so forth. I just didn't know what it was called. And when I got some literature and started reading it, I just understand naming of this. And this is like this, and this is like this, and this is also something I learned something new. All these rules, they're all can be found on internet or books. It's not something that somebody came up with, like somebody on Instagram. He came up with this, and it's some incredibly valuable information and so forth. Just go online, write the basic rules and principles of editing. It's not as complicated as it sounds. You just have to realize that you're not getting what you're trying to find yourself. Once you put that together, it can all be found in today's world just like that. And the most important thing is that, let's say, in academic photography, or according to somebody else's concepts, it might be a defect of something ugly. In fact, it might end up being a style, a trend, and a direction. Take the glitch effect. Out of that was born just a whole direction, which has been alive for, I don't know how long, 10 years maybe, lots of commercials and logos and so on. At some point it peaked, it became a trend, and everyone was doing the same thing. Now it's just like a separate style, although that's an error. You know what the point is? Any content, photography, video, anything, everything is very subjective. Today it seems ugly, and tomorrow it's incredibly beautiful. The most important thing in all of this is to do it consciously. That is, you have to understand what rules you are breaking, that you are doing it on purpose, and why you are doing it. Why you think it is beautiful. Friends, it's all education, pros, cons. There are no perfect options. You just have to consider your temperament, your personality type, and understand what is right for you. Some people are fine with an academic education. That is, it will not kill him. He will not fall into depression. Somebody will be fine even with courses on the internet, because all I want is just to take beautiful pictures of food, and I don't need any more. I don't want to be a professional photographer. I don't want anything. I just want beautiful pictures on my Instagram. No questions asked. Consuela will teach you. In the case of a mentor, you have to be very communicative. That kind of communicative is really the key to success. And he who is very communicative quickly moves up the career ladder. Let me explain very quickly and briefly. That is, today you carry coffee, tripod, and light to some photographer. Tomorrow he gets some kind of order for a little shoot that he doesn't want to do. He just takes you with him, gives you a camera, and says, "You've already seen a lot, you know a lot, I've already seen your pictures. Come on, buddy, here we go. It's like he's going to be so much less boring doing this shoot. And so once you've done it and that's it, once you've done it there, you've met there, you've been called there, oops, and you're already the same professional that guys write to and say, I want you to be my mentor. The communication network is very important. But if you're an introvert or you just don't want to be communicative and things like that, if you don't like that, no problem. Self-education, always everywhere. Available, it's free, it's awesome. Again, self-education suits more guys who are more diligent, the kind of guys, who like to get to the bottom of things, take things apart for nuance and things like that. Everywhere has its pluses, everywhere has its minuses. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Hugs. Bye.